Welcome back to Sandy's Paddling Podcast. We're here for part 2 of Red and my dad, Tom Goynes, talking about their 1983 Texas water safari.
I like this headphone thing. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, these are good.
Yeah, I got to get Lisa's pair of these, and maybe then we'll fill in some gaps.
Every team. Think about on a multi-man, you can talk to anyone you wanted to. And,
yeah, I'd have to have a cancellation. I'd have to have a switch. Oh, seat 3? No, you're out.
Can you imagine?
Oh, wait, that wound up being my seat.
All the calls left and right on every turn. It'd be, I got a 3-2 boat. Anyway.
All right, where were we? Let's see.
We were starting to.
Oh, you were talking about Red getting kicked off the 4-man.
That's right, the divorce.
The divorce, and the fact that I liked his stroke. I thought we could go places.
Well, and he was 6'2" and super muscly.
Yeah,
you needed a bow man.
That's a stretch. I want to end with some integrity, so don't throw that one in. You'll get a lot of deniers on that one. But
yeah,
anyway,
I learned early that when the safari, you either need to be real good yourself, or you just need to have a good partner. So it was like I had a way to pick them. Anyway. I thought this might just work. Anyway, it was a long shot.
It was a long shot. It was 6 weeks before the race, too.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to ask when that team came together. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so...
Mid-April.
Yeah.
So you had the 3-man was your competition, and then there was the 4-man, right? Was also your competition.
That was a lot of guys. And then there was a 3-man sculling rig.
3-man rowing rig. And the rowers weren't done at that point. They were struggling, but they hadn't just been soundly beat.
What kind of boat were they in for 3?
It was
wood strip.
Yeah, it was a homemade,
custom
built 3-man boat, but it was fast. I mean, in the prelim, I don't know if they won, but they were right there.
Yeah. I don't know, because we never raced prelim.
We didn't even do the prelim.
We had a canoe shop to run. We ain't got time for all that stuff.
I think our time was about an hour slower than the prelim time. We were a little disgruntled. We thought, could be trouble. Anyway.
Yeah, those rowboats in open water could really move. I mean, it was just about getting that rowboat down to the open water.
Yeah, you got.
Well, I remember we saw that rowboat coming up at I-10 as we were portaging away. They were pulling in. I remember.
That's sticking pretty close.
And I thought, we haven't even got their water yet. So,
do you remember who that team was?
It was Howard Gore.
Woolley?
Maybe Willie was on it, and then was it Howard's son? I think
so.
Yeah. I think that was it.
And who was on the 4-man?
Oh, that would have been. Your ex,
Troy.
They added Marty Pribble.
Marty Pribble.
Yeah, Marty Pribble took my spot. Which Marty was a really good paddler.
He was awesome. Yeah, we thought, this could be trouble.
This could be trouble. Yeah, they just upgraded one motor.
Had Marty done the safari before?
I think that was his first safari.
That was his. He was kind of like Bobby. That was his first one. But now Marty got back in boats again. He was paddling over in the Carolinas and stuff before he came here.
Wow.
Yeah,
so he liked the big water. Yeah. And he was good. And
So how much did you see? You saw the rowboat. Were y'all with the 4-man the first day, or how did the?
Well, you got to remember that.
Or was this the year that you were the last people in the water?
Yeah, I had. I was a race chairman, and I needed a race judge. And Stan Emmons said, I'll be the race judge, but I don't speak publicly. So I said, no problem. What can possibly go wrong? I said, I'll do the MCing at the start, and you just stand by, and all you'll have to do is shoot the gun.
Hold on, he needs this one.
Yeah. No.
Oh.
I'm just going to record this because we got a whole new preface to why I was so late getting in the boat.
But you hadn't heard the whole story yet.
Oh, man, this is getting good.
Yeah. So anyhow,
it's only 44 years later or whatever. Some big number.
It's not like y'all had time to talk about this in the 260 miles.
I probably should have mentioned ahead of time that, oh, by the way, I'm not going to be at the boat.
Oh, you didn't tell him the plan at all?
I don't think so. I think I left that detail out. And it was like, because I thought, surely I can do all the officiating and then run over and we'll get the boat. Maybe warm up. A little warm up would be nice, And maybe start with the other teams. The starting position is very, very important in the safari. So all that was out the window, though, because I talked, and then I looked, and it was, oh, man, we still got to do the prayer. I don't remember. Maybe we did the anthem, because you got to do that, and then the prayer. So anyway, we were down to the prayer, and I think I had 2 minutes. I said, I got to go, guys. So that was me running. I headed out. And, of course, Tom Stallman started praying. And you can't really be running when somebody's praying. I mean, that would be...
Well, you can if you're starting the race in 2 minutes.
No, but I think that is the real reason he had this worried look on his face in this picture that has just surfaced in the last 2 weeks of capturing this exact moment he's talking about.
I don't know who gave me that picture. It's like somebody showed up and said, hey, I found the picture. I said, hey, give me that. Anyway, so I guess what happened was I started running and a news team, a crew, stopped me. And, I'm on TV. I gotta stop.
Now, Red, could you see this happening? Were you aware of where he was at all, or were you just by the boat?
No, I knew I was just by the boat, but I couldn't really see over there, but I knew he was in the crowd of people I knew he was trying to get there.
Because you could hear him talking.
Probably heard me
I could hear him talking on the microphone for a while until he passed that off for the prayer. And then was scared to run through the prayer. But now the TV crew, I didn't know about them.
Well, I think that was part of the problem. It's like they stopped me before the prayer even started. I had a little bit of time. I thought I could make it. And they said, excuse me, Mr. Goynes, we have one question, a short question. I said, okay, give it to me. And they said, why do people do this race? And then at that time, Tom Stallman said, bow your heads, please. I thought, oh, man. So I told the guys, I can't talk and I can't run. So we listened to the prayer. And then, he was long-winded. And as soon as the prayer was over, the gun goes off. And I said, okay, guys, listen. First of all, I'm in this race, and they just fired the gun. And secondly, that's a hard question. I'm going to have to deal with that later. Is that okay? Yep, fine, okay. So, by then, I think Owen West was out of sight. They were all leaving. And,
I found a picture of where you were putting on your pants. It's in that binder over there. You're putting on your pants. I'm in the boat, and I'm probably, saying all the things that I've been quoted as saying. That was probably pretty accurate.
He was upset.
It was almost... The last boat was almost out of Spring Lake. I got a picture in that binder over there. I was showing it to Lisa last night. I said, well, here he is. He looks real frantic heading to the...
Why were you not wearing your pants?
Well, I had a different outfit on for being the MC.
Oh, my gosh.
So...
That's worse.
He had to get those cotton BVDs.
I probably had my cotton BVDs on, but anyway. But the bottom line is I had to change pants and maybe put on a different shirt. There was some dressing involved. And so we get in the boat, and Red is just turning up the water, and he's all excited. And I said, stop, Red, stop. He said, well, what is it? And I said, don't you remember we were going to start slow? Going to just relax, warm up. It's a long race, it's a long way to see it. And we're just doing this for fun. Remember that? And we're dead in the water. After starting dead last, we're still dead. The crowd is, people are left. They're not watching anymore.
Oh, yeah. They're camped out Rio Vista by now, or maybe further down.
Who is this team? What are these guys doing? I don't know. Two-man boat, they have no hope anyway. So anyway, we did. We started with a very slow, deliberate stroke at that point. And I think it was just brilliant, we were saving that adrenaline for swinging. I mean, the wind bridge.
You got to pass a lot of teams.
We did.
We got to see everybody.
Let me after all these years, let me go ahead and clarify this a little bit. I didn't plan on starting 51st out of 51 boats. I really thought that we would be in the mix, try to get that first portage and, get ahead of the line that accumulates there.
That's so important. Yeah.
But we hadn't discussed all that. And this is another thing. Through all our years of paddling and stuff, we didn't spend a lot of time on strategy or talking about things like that, or even talking about winning.
We'll worry about the details. We'll worry about that later.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that we just thought alike on that we just didn't have to talk about. But now that was a surprise. Starting 51st was a surprise. But I'll say this too: the reason that I was probably frantic is because I didn't ever picture this is the way it's going to be done.
Nobody wants to start dead last with a large gap.
2 minutes.
With everybody else still leaving, and we're
2 minutes back. I mean, it's like this is not just a dead last.
Did you see anybody on the first portage? Was it totally free?
I think we had a good clean shot. No, that was the thing.
I remember it being now in '83. I remember it being wide open. Now '85 was a little bit different. We got a little bit better on our last place start. But we still started laughing. So here's the point I want to clear up. Once we had this discussion and I understood it was okay with him, and I know we got a long way to go, then we kind of settled into something. And to this day, I mean, I think that was part of our little magic time we had. I mean, we could do things as so unorthodox as let's just start last. We know what's out there. And we know what we got to do without talking about it. We know what we got to do to get there, and every piece of the puzzle to get to Seadrift in the lead. So we just kind of settled back with that. So we did it again in '85. I really just thought it was kind of cool. This is our signature move. Plus, it just happened to be when we picked the boat number and the name. We didn't know there'd be 51 boats. We knew about 50 boats were in the water safari in those days. And we said, well, with long shot, I mean, how long? Okay, well, how about 50 to 1? So we picked 50 to 1, and both those years, that wound up being the total number entered in the race. So
I don't even remember 85 or 51?
Yeah, it was 51 both times.
Wow.
And that's almost like divine intervention for me. I mean,
we started last again. I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, we started last.
But not 2 minutes. I mean, we had to be kind of.
No, it wasn't like let's let everybody get out of Spring Lake and let's talk to some more people. And
change clothes.
Yeah, change clothes,
Yeah. So how soon were you in the top 5 that year? Like by the end of the first day?
No.
I think we probably
Staples.
Not dark. Yeah.
Okay.
By Staples, we only had to run down 3 more boats.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I remember we passed Howard Gore somewhere. I guess he was the last boat we passed, and then that just left Mike Shively and Pat and Jerry, and then the X.
The 4-man boat.
The X team.
Yeah.
Your X.
Actually, the boat's name was Excalibur, so I guess they were the X team.
I didn't know about that.
But we ran that whole when we caught Oxshire and it was Oxshire, Shively, and Jerry Cochran.
Yep.
Yeah, when we caught them, it was really right there at Gonzales. At the gravel bar, or real close to that.
Okay.
Yeah, when we trained, we carried weights, and I'm thinking they were 25-pounders. I mean, the boat weighed at least what it was going to weigh during the race.
And you were in an ICFC too?
ICFC too. And there were 3, I remember 3 really bad log jams below Palmetto that involved. They were the kind that involved carrying your boat way up to the top, running along the high ground, past all the trees, and then back down into the river. And we trained that so that we could do it on a run. I mean, we would run up the hill, run down, and I want to say we were 40 minutes back at Palmetto. I might be wrong, but
it was a substantial lead. We had our work cut out for us.
We were back a ways. And by the time we got to Gonzales, we were with Pat Oxer, and 10 minutes. I want to say we're only 10 minutes behind him at that
No,
point.
we had a good half hour.
We gained some.
Well, no, let me tell you. By the time we got to Hoheim, we were 30 minutes behind them.
Oh, so they gained on you, maybe?
No, we gained on them. I think they had. Right. We got like 10 minutes on them or something.
From Gonzales.
But the reason was because one of my most memorable events of all racing was that night. It was magical. I mean, here Tom and I were going up again, and we're paddling gunnel to gunnel. Pat Oxer's looking over at me and giving that silly grin and then spitting a wad of tobacco at me. I mean, this was back in racing, and they just grin.
Macho
and
guy.
I tried to get him in the conversation and get him talking, and he knew he wasn't having any part of that. He'd just put his head down. He'd look at me and grin like, I ain't falling for that. I'm not wasting it. You're not going to divert my attention. We got Cochran in the stern of that boat, who's known to be able to put anybody in the tree.
In the bushes.
Through anything. If there's an obstacle on the river. But then I knew I got my driver too. So, I mean, it was on like Donkey Kong that night. And we ran.
All night.
We ran all night from Gonzales to Hoheim. And just above Hoheim Dam, Cochran finally said, let them go.
Oh, wow.
Just let them go. But I mean, it was moonlight. We could see clear. And we're looking at each other eyeball to eyeball. I mean, in and out of every turn, every straightaway, Who's got you got it? You ready to go? I mean, you really gonna hang? Okay, and we're talking to each other. Yeah, that's what you got. All right.
It's coming to me. I do remember we were pretty close to the four-man boat at Gonzales, and at some point between Gonzales, is that what Jerry? Yeah. Between Gonzales and Hoheim, we got close enough. I think both of us and Pat, got close enough that they saw our lights. And that was the year we had Peter Derrick as our team captain, and he had several secret places. And they saw all this, and they knew, wow, you pulled up right behind them. And they might have even told us that. And then the next time we saw them, they had put 30, that's when they put that 30 minutes back. I mean.
Oh, do you think they saw a light?
They went crazy.
I forgot about that.
They must have had some superfood or something, because they just, in no time at all, they put 30 minutes on us, which we knew they could do. I mean, we knew, they beat our prelim time by an hour. So we knew, well, we're going to be slower, but we're steady. But I think we had gained most of it back. I thought by Hoheim we were back close, but the people on the bank just said, well, they were 10 minutes back in Gonzales, 10 minutes back in Hoheim.
Oh, they didn't realize.
But and it may have been more like they put 40 minutes on us, and then we gained that back. So they were ahead, but we were pretty happy that we had gained back that much time. So it was
That was kind of our stretch. I mean, we liked the Gonzo to Hoheim stretch. Because it's always at night, and there isn't a lot of eyeballs out there. There's not a lot of bridges. There's just time to pin yours back, and let's just run for a while.
How much of that night were you paddling with the 3-man?
That time,
almost,
yeah.
It was like all the way from Gonzales to Hoheim.
Wow. That's so fun.
Yeah,
and that was good. And together we did gain on them.
Now, had you paddled with Cochran yet, or no?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I raced
won with him.
Yeah,
didn't you?
No,
I think we were third.
Oh,
no, we did. We did real well in the USCA Cruiser until his back gave out. So we had some pretty good races, but never won it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's fun. You've done the. Wait, who was the other person?
Mike Shibley.
Oh,
Mike Shibley.
You never raced with him, but you'd raced with 2 of the 3, so that's...
Yeah. So, Peter had, he was really pretty happy that we started dead last, I think. I think we really made him happy with that, because he was really always big on saying, start slow, don't come out hard. So he had to be just delighted.
Yeah, we punched that ticket.
And And every time we'd see him, didn't matter what was going on, he'd say, "Slow down, boys. Wait till the heat." And that was the year when he stopped us somewhere around one of the Cuero bridges, I think. And he said, "Tom, I have something to say to you." I said, "Okay, say it." He said, "Do not pick the fruit while it is on the tree. Wait for the fruit to ripen, and it will fall of its own accord," or something like that.
Oh, yeah. That's
British accent, yes.
And I said, "What are you talking about, Peter?" Anyway, but he wanted us, he kept saying all along, "Wait till the heat of the day. Wait till they're tired."
Yeah.
And
don't pick the fruit early. Let it ripen.
Let it rotten. Let it rot. He didn't say that, I don't think.
Yeah, that's his thing. My mom still says it to me. Yeah, because she was traveling with them too. Her and Lisa both.
But I remember, I think, did we catch a glimpse of them at Gonzales? I mean, at maybe Cuero Dam. We might have seen them going out of sight. I don't know, but
I don't remember. First time I remember seeing them was after what we used to call Hell's Gate, between there and Cuero.
Okay.
Yeah, is where we actually laid eyes on them. We could see them in the river, and they could see us. Because my dad was up on a cliff right before that turn, and he told us. He said they're right around the corner, and then he told me what they looked like. He said they're getting about 4 to 6 inch strokes. Oh. And I went, right on. I know where we're at. So
well, and they had John Ortel was in the bow, and obviously he had that tendonitis problems right in. It was like one side. They would take a real short dip, and then they'd take a regular.
So the whole boat was doing the same. I guess he had no choice.
You're following the bow.
Why don't you? He
could have taken 2 strokes on his right for everyone's one.
Or
he probably could have
just replaced the bowman at that point. It was like, I don't know why, but anyway, it was a real funny stroke to watch because it was like we thought, what are they doing?
I think we got them.
Is this some secret technique? But yeah, it's like we finally saw him, and
coming around him was a different thing.
We just kind of reeled him in, and I think I told Red, I said, "Look, let's not make him feel bad. Let's not talk. Let's just try to sneak around him, tell them what a great race they've done."
Had they seen you? Were they doing that looking behind them thing?
You could see 4 heads just doing bobble dolls in there after Troy spotted us.
But nonetheless, they didn't try to pull away from us at that point. They waited, and of course, we got within earshot, and of course, Red started hollering, "Hey, guys!" I thought, well, so much for the sneaking around them thing. But anyway, we got neck and neck, and they just took off. And I mean, they could put 100 yards on us in nothing flat. And I thought, wow, we kind of caught a tiger by the tail. How this going to turn out? So, but they would get on up ahead, and then somebody would have to tie their shoes, and somebody had to eat a little something.
The whole boat wasn't good for 3 to 5 minutes without one motor. Got to take care of something.
We could tell
then we'd jump on them.
They weren't really that happy about the pace, so we'd creep back up on them. Then they'd sprint away. Then we'd creep back up. And we didn't change our speed. I don't think. We were just going.
And was this the heat of the day?
It was.
4.5 hours of this.
But those long, sunny stretches between Cuero and Victoria, just miserable. But anyway, and I guess somewhere below Nursery, we finally,
between Nursery and Victoria.
We were, and we noticed the sprints would last longer. We'd kind of go into a sprint, and whether we picked up ours or they slowed down theirs, they would still pull away, but it took them a while. And this one particular sprint, we were blowing and going. Maybe we were finally making our move, and I think it was Pat that said, "Let them go."
Yeah, Pat.
Remember that? Oh. And we both thought, "What did we hear? What was that?" And neither of us would look back. I don't know how.
Don't look back. Don't look back.
I don't know how far we went. I mean, we just kept paddling and paddling. And I think he finally couldn't stand it.
Okay, now
They're gone.
this is my only race trick, and since I've obviously flunked, let's sneak up on them. The other thing is just to look at them and just look at it and smile and be having a good time and make it look effortless, and we're just cruising. How you guys doing? Because I'm going to go back a little bit, but I'm going to bring the story back. But the way he talked me into this, he called me 6 weeks before the race and said, hey.
They call me the silver-tongued devil.
And I know why for all the reasons, but I'll tell you one right now. I wasn't really thinking about going, but I was still staying in shape. I was still paddling and stuff. And there's 6 weeks to the race. And he called me. And what was I doing? I was heading home 6 miles to my house, and I just left Nautilus, where I go and transform myself into, a paddler, or at least the pretense I am. So he called and he said, Red, I got a plan. I got a plan for us. And I said, okay, Tom, what you got? And he says, well, we need to go water. Oh, first he said, well, they're talking bad about you up here. I said, they were talking bad about me when I was in the boat, I mean, that's not new. We're a year down the road almost, He said, well, I got a plan. He said, I want you to go with me. I said, okay. I said, I'm listening. Who we going to get? And he goes, Ray, just me and you. I started laughing. What? We just built a 4-man boat and we just smoked everybody, and they just replaced me with a good motor. We're going to go 2-man. Okay. No, I don't want my face rubbed in it, And so he says, no, it's a good plan. It's a good plan. I said, okay, well, what's the plan, Tom, that you and I are going to go? It's not time to build a boat, I mean, what are we going to? He said, well, we're going to go with a production hull. I started laughing again. The production hull and the water safari, I mean, that hadn't been done since Sawyer's, And he goes, yeah. And I'm going, oh, Tom, I don't know. He said, Red, it's light. And I said, okay. That got my tune because that 4-man boat was heavy. I don't care, bone empty, and there was a lot of Kevlar and everything else, but it was stout. But that thing weighed 200 pounds just by itself, And there's a lot of times I had that boat by myself, in portages and stuff, and that thing was heavy. Anyway, so I said, okay, light boat, that sounds good. I like the days, the USCA boats and stuff, and light. I said, how light? And he said, like in the 30s. I said, oh, okay, I'm listening. Just the thought of that. And he said, Red, you're going to be comfortable. It doesn't tip back and forth.
Sit up
you
high.
just sit. Yeah, he said, and that was the last thing. He said, we're going to be light, and you're going to be comfortable, and it's going to be a low year. And I'm going, okay, crap, we were doing good till you said that. He said, but that fast water's on top. He said, we're going to be riding higher in the water than them, and we're going to be on faster water.
He was pulling out all the stops.
Yeah. Well, by then, I'm going, I said, Tom, we only got 6 weeks. He said, I know. That's part of the plan. 6 weeks to victory. He said, that's what we're going to call it. I said, okay. I guess I'll come see you this weekend or something. And that's how it started. But it was Tom Goynes' plan. At this point in racing, there wasn't anybody looking in the rearview mirror to go to 2-man boats anymore. It was like, where's the best motors you can get and how much better can you make these long boats? And that's what it was about. And that's where it went. But the thought of actually doing it, of course we said, well, we're just going to go for fun, see what happens, whatever. I already knew that's not what we do, I mean, I've never raced the water safari just to finish. Yeah. I never did. Yeah. I never did. I greatly respect those people that do it. I do. But that was just not where I was, something I was going to want to do. So, let's just, we'll go and then that. But the dynamics of that really resonated with me because I was in that 4-man boat. I know on the second day that boat gets heavy, and when everybody gets tired and you start slowing down and shortening strokes up and stuff, that thing just seems like a log compared to a lightweight, super lightweight production hull like that. And I didn't know if the hull was fast enough. And that's Patrisky's thing, and that was Trimble's too, is that hull speed mattered. Hull speed mattered, and just be able to maintain a better speed across will win the race over inferior boats or lesser boats.
And what a lot of people still don't get is with the Safari, it isn't a question of what's the fastest boat. It's what boat runs the best speed for the least amount of effort. I mean, is there a boat that cruises? And there's never been a boat better than that ICFC2. I mean, you did have to get it up to speed, but once you got there, it wasn't any sense in trying to go a lot faster because it was hard to get it above that speed. But if you can keep it at that speed, then it's a great second-day boat. And I think that's what Logan and Kyle found out. I told them that. I said, you got to reel in Tommy, but they did. They kind of blew the bay crossing, but it's a great second day boat.
Well, y'all almost blew your bay crossing too.
No,
Twice.
Bay crossing.
Both times, both bay crossings we didn't have any water on the river, and the bays were rough. And matter of fact, 85, Pat said that was the roughest he'd ever been through. And I mean, we're from Fort Lavaca, so I mean, we've seen water. But I remember waves breaking. The way I remember is they were breaking over my chest, but they probably weren't that high. But they were breaking in my lap for sure. So taking on water, they hadn't made that spray cover yet.
Now, when did Dad start encouraging you with the use of the 4-man, egging him on like a... Was that early on the... I guess it wouldn't have been the first day. You didn't want to go too fast on the first day.
We weren't really pushing it too much then, but it was like we'd get out ahead and then I'd say, tell me again about those T-shirts, that T-shirt deal they had. Or I knew a lot of the inside stories. And I could just watch the veins pop out on his neck and the stroke would... Man, we'd put 5 minutes on it. Yeah. Because I was real concerned, even though we'd passed them. I thought, man, they're going to come. They're coming.
Yeah, if they can gain 30 minutes on you. And
they can gain 30 minutes in an hour. Right. Red, I said, we got to go. And Red kept saying, Tom, I know this team. They've had it. They're beat.
Now, this is the middle of the afternoon on the second.
Hot.
Yeah.
They're hot. They're tired. They're shot. They're bummed out. Don't worry about them. They're gone. They're dead. So I finally believed that. I said, yeah, you're right. They're not coming. And sure enough, the times, of course, you're in first place. There are no spot trackers. So you go through a bridge. Well, you get this really nice lead you had, 2 hours ago with the last bridge. You have no idea what they're doing now. So I remember we went under the old swinging bridge, and we knew if it takes an hour to get to the railroad trestle, was that it? Then in 30 minutes after the railroad trestle, you've got the 3 o'clock cut. No problem. So an hour it comes and goes, and we're still on to the railroad trestle. And so, Red started getting a little concerned. But then it took us so long to get to the 3 o'clock cut. Red started saying, oh, man. He's looking at his watch. He said, they're coming. I said, nah, Red, they're dead meat. They're dead. They're back there. He said, no, it's cool. It's cool off. I know them. They're coming. They're coming. So anyway, I tried to settle him down. Then it was I didn't want to burn out. So anyway, that was the way that whole second day went. It was like me trying to encourage him to pick it up, then him trying to encourage me. Neither one of us was real successful. So we were kind of lily-dipping going through. I guess we ran over the alligator at some point, lifted the boat up in the air.
That was in that little cut around the log jam.
Yeah.
It came over towards the San Antonio River down
So we did.
Down the river bottom.
We made it through 3 o'clock, and then that last little bit going into Alligator Slough, I don't know how big that thing was, but he lifted the whole boat up.
Wow.
And
my paddle ran down his back.
Yeah.
Because there's no water. I mean, we were it was might as well have been a bar ditch or something. I mean, it was a little piece of water. It's
in the dark, and something. I mean, I'm in the stern, so I feel the whole boat is lifted up. We're sliding down something, and Red puts out his paddle and braces, and I heard this bumpity, 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 bump. And
that alligator was laying in that little
up.
creek, facing upstream, just eating whatever come down. He was big, you know. So we didn't really see him. He was underwater, but when you run your paddle down his back and you're going a pretty good ways, it's still going down his back, and then he whips his tail and throws the whole front of the boat out of the water.
Wow.
It was exciting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that woke you up.
Oh yeah, we were pretty good then.
That's probably the only time we really picked it up nicely at that point.
But the thing about Trisky or the 4-man boat is all based on Trisky. Yeah, you know, in the heat of the day, I really did feel like, and plus we were duked it out with them all afternoon, and we managed to pull away. And I knew that just them looking at us. And I could just see them. They're looking over there and going, that boat looks so light, you know. Ours feels so heavy. I knew that was going to be a big weight on them. But I also know when it gets dark and you get below, especially that last log jam, then Trisky considers that his turf. You're on my turf now. I mean, he was a school teacher in Seadrift for years. I mean, you're on my turf now, and he comes alive. Yeah. And Petrisky is always a formidable, a paddler to deal with. I mean, he can move a boat. He had a lot of horsepower. So I really was worried about him coming then. Of course, it didn't matter. Just a few minutes later, we were told to the fruit was ripe.
It was probably a lot like Pharaoh when he said, "What have we done? We've let those people go. Let's get them. We're in a 4-man boat." You know, I mean, I think they changed their mind and decided we can put them away. Anyway, they were coming, and we didn't really know it for sure. So I guess we went under the Tyvola Bridge, and they said, "Oh, you got about a 30-minute lead." Well, that was back at Swinging Bridge. Yeah. So we're thinking, we still got it. Meanwhile, they came through 15 minutes after we did, so they have gained half of it back.
In a short stretch, relatively short stretch, yeah.
And we're paddling along in the dark, heading for the wind bridge, and off in the distance, I can hear what sounds like a couple of women hollering, "Oh, man, hurry up." I said, "What is that, Red?" "I don't know." I said, "They're saying y'all better hurry up." That's what they're saying. So it was Paula and Lisa and
Peter and Kathy.
We did pick it up. And when we got to that point, I remember Peter saying, "Boys," and this is the guy who's been telling us, slow down, take it easy, the fruit's not ripe. We go to that red, he says, "Boys, they're 15 minutes back and coming fast." Said, "Put it up to maximum."
Yeah, put it on maximum.
But we already had it. By the time we figured out what they were hollering, we knew. I mean, we put 2 and 2 together. We said, "Man, they are coming." So we were blowing and going. I mean, we were sweating, using every bit of adrenaline we had that we had saved from the start.
I didn't have any of
that. And what you do normally is you go out into the bay, and you want to go right down the gut, and past Foster Point. You really want to make sure you're past Foster Point. Probably be a good idea. But at some point, the lights of Seadrift will disappear behind that left bank, and then all you do is veer right, go around the island, and then head for Seadrift. So we're paddling along, and I assume that the landmass ahead of me is the left bank. So I said, "Okay, we're heading right." So I started heading right, and then I had a little more right, but soon I'm heading way right. And we were doing a circle. We turned around.
Yeah, and to the right, though.
At some point, I had the foresight to look behind me, and there were the lights of Seadrift, big and pretty as you please. because I got to thinking, the wind just changed 180 degrees in a matter of minutes. And, man, I was feeling like Red was at the start. I was mad. I was cussing myself out.
Well, he was really upset.
I had a full right rudder on. I'm turning the boat around, and I apologized. Well, I lost it. I caused us a race. And I am just beating myself up. And Red stops paddling. And, what he knew, you got to stop paddling. Where do you put your paddle? He stuffed it between the straight skirt and his waist. And he lays back. He's laying down the boat. And so I stopped paddling. I said, what the hell are you doing? He says, we entered this race for fun. And we had this deal. If at any time it wasn't fun, the other, one of us could stop. We could just stop. He says, you're not having fun, I quit. And at that point, we are getting blown back toward the river. And we are dead. We are paddling. And I thought about it. I said, you're right. It was a great race. We did as good as we could. We messed up. And I said, can we just paddle in? Let's paddle in and congratulate those guys because, we did a good job. It was fun. It was fun. And sure enough, he gets his paddle. And we just kind of paddled in the sea drift, fully expecting, to have to congratulate him. And the crowd's taking a bunch of pictures and hooping and hollering. I said, man, what a great consolation cheer. Really is nice of them. They're overdoing it, but it's kind of nice. We did a good job, and then we realized, where's their boat? We couldn't see a boat.
No boat already up there. What'd they do with their boat? They already put it on the truck. These guys they really starting to
showered
now.
They've had time to shower.
Yeah. They're at the hotel getting dressed.
And how they didn't come in ahead of us, I still don't understand. Because
I never thought they
were actually 11 minutes back. We found out later they were gained 4 more minutes. And at the wind bridge, they were 11 minutes behind us. And somehow we beat them by 30 minutes.
Wow.
And we'd always heard that they were right there at the end of the seawall, and the flash bulb started going off. So they stopped and waited.
Oh.
But I asked Troy later, and he said, oh, hell no, we were coming hard. And so anyway, so it was bizarre. It was like we went through a time warp somewhere in there out in the bay. Must have got going so
warps
fast.
They're all over the place. Day 2 of water safari. You can do several podcasts on just these warps, hallucinations, the devil and the dragon in the boat and things like that. We never had that in a 2-man boat. Now 4-man boat, I don't know. We could probably add a rabid gorilla. You could. We had
it briefly though when I did the U-turn, and probably at the start. There were a few occasions during that race where, it was kind of tough. I think there was some hard feelings. Anyway,
maybe not in our boat.
Right.
Not in the 2-man boat. No. We didn't have enough people to have any hard feelings. It's just 2 of us. So there's nowhere for any blame to go.
You had to be pretty happy with that outcome too.
Yeah, we were.
Because you were convinced you were getting second, and then.
Yeah, we said, we gave them a race, and nobody thought we could do this. So let's just go on in, have our heads up high, and smile, and do what we've done the whole way here.
Yeah.
But anyway, it worked out. That we got to smile a lot. Matter of fact, it was quoted in there. It's one of my first things I said when I was cracking open a beer was, boy, that was fun. And,
I still think that article in Canoe Magazine was probably one of the better race articles I've ever read. It was really good.
Yeah, Tom Taylor, yeah. And I hardly knew him or anything, and he covered the race, wrote that article about it. I saw him one more time. That's the only time I've seen him or anything. But yeah, I thought it was, of course, I would. I thought it was one of the best write-ups in a canoe magazine.
Right.
I thought he just nailed it. Yeah, Yeah, it was a special year. I mean, and the thing that neither one of us saw. I mean, Tom was selling ICF boats here. As a matter of fact, the only one probably anywhere around here in Texas, probably. We just showed that an ICF boat can beat 4-man team. I mean, they had all kinds of names for those long boats that were successful, but I mean, they were the water safari. So I think both of us were really just shocked that people didn't go, okay, great, let's get two people get together and just practice as a team, get smooth, and go up against them. But they didn't, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen till Tommy came along.
But remember, let's see, that was 80, 85, 86, and 87. John Boogie and Mike Shively won.
Yeah, they won
In an ICF CT. So there
wasn't a 4-man boat. There wasn't a 4-man contender in there.
I don't remember whether they had. Maybe they did.
I remember the first. I looked at it and it was like the first 4-man boat was like 6th place back behind an aluminum boat, or something. I mean, it was just ridiculous. I mean, it wasn't. I hope anybody that's listening to this podcast wasn't on that boat, but it might not have been that bad. I apologize, but it just didn't seem like the water safari world gave the 2-man boat the credit that it I think deserved. And I think it's been shown again with Tommy and John winning. It can be done. You gotta have things go your way or whatever, but a good two-man team is just so awesome to be a part of, and there's just the simplicity of it. The big boats brought a lot complications in everything, and it's still going on. I mean, Tommy's racing on a 6-man team, I heard this year, and I'm glad to hear that. But as you know, I mean, the shuttle, 6 people, 6 jackets, 6 fellas, the numbers go up. The boats are so long. It's really a lot when the simplicity of 2 people putting it together and just getting after it has a legitimate shot at, if things go your way, you can come out the winner of this whole thing. But it didn't get as much traction as I thought it would. I definitely thought the whole race would swing back to 2-man and maybe 3-man boats and not go all the places that it did, all the way up to 9 people boats. Yeah. I mean, and when all that was going on, I wasn't around. I was off working and stuff, but it really kind of turned me off. Okay, that's cool. To see the sport evolve to that, but it also limits who can participate with a chance of winning. I mean, we had teams coming, which I'm sure we still do, from all over the world to come race here, and I think because the people who want to really win, I mean, you're not going to see that kind of effort unless they're coming to get in a boat from Texas. Mm-hmm. I mean, water safari boats, the big boats, are built specific for this race. So, I think it'd be a lot more open to competition outside of the area and stuff too, if it was viewed as you can actually be a good team and bring your boat to Texas. So I really wanted a 2-man team to win again against the long boats.
A good team,
yeah. Yeah, so I'm really. But what started it all is Tom. I mean, if he hadn't made that phone call, or he hadn't taught me into getting that boat, which I had every question about, except for the last couple of things. It's just light, and we'll be sitting on top. You'll be comfortable. And then go, ooh, that sounds pretty nice. I don't know if I'm buying all of it, but, Plus, I've always wanted to race with Tom. I mean, like I said, I came here to meet him and get to know him, and hopefully someday for him to teach me how to race. And then to get to paddle with him and everything that in itself was a lifetime accomplishment. I could have been happy with that. And now, I guess in the middle of the bay, I was. Hey, I raced with Tom Goynes, and I mean, if we can somehow get to Seadrift, the worst we're going to do is second against big boats. I mean, all right,
And 40 years later, y'all are still friends, which is real cool.
Oh, we always will be.
Yeah.
I mean, He was my boss, and I worked here, and I was a so employee, but always looked at it as more than that. Tom and Paul have been, they're inner family. They're as close as anybody in my family. I haven't been around a long time. Last 37 years before I moved back here. But it was always special. I mean, they were there for me. They did so much for me. I would have never raced the water safari if it hadn't been for them. They helped me the whole way. Tom, and that's the other thing, that phone call. Well, Red, I'll sponsor you. I got the boat. And he said, he knew I just bought that paddle for the 4-man boat, and I really like it, still have it. You can bring your own paddle, but I got everything else. And I'm going, wow, I mean, how do you say no to that?
Yeah, that's a good deal.
I mean, how many water safari races have that? Of course, you got to, give up any conception you had about actually being able to win the thing, because this is so foreign.
Well, just
two people in a production hull, and we're going to go take on these gang boats.
Just the concept of we're going to use the sliders that came with it. I think we did put bigger seats. We did add Sawyer comfortable seats.
Oh, they were comfortable.
Yeah.
I've never been so comfortable in a boat.
That foam, we had like 3 inches of open cell foam, and then we had those little covers. What were they? The little fleece.
We had sheepskin.
Sheepskin
We
covers
sure
over your
did. I
seat.
just thought that. Oh yeah, well that'll fix that cotton thing.
And we saved that till Gonzales, I think.
Yeah, you put them on
Because otherwise, we just knew somebody would step right in the middle of
Yeah,
the
we didn't want to get them dirty. Yeah, we broke them out of baggies. I forgot all about that. Oh man, now we got cushy seats.
I mean, we were feeling good. Our butts were happy.
Nice dry sheepskin.
And I think we probably mentioned that as we were paddling all night with Pat Oxford, knowing, oh, my butt feels good.
Yeah, the seats feel good, man. Yeah, our seat feels really good, Tom. How's yours? Oh,
notice how high we're sitting. Yeehaw. Yeah, that always helps.
Yeah.
Talk about your seat.
Yeah, because I still say to this day, of all being the water safaris, just a few I've done, nothing hurt as bad as my butt. I mean, muscles can ache. I mean, you can have an ice pick man working on both shoulders, and you can be going through some stuff, but nothing hurts as bad as your butt.
I like when I'm talking to a group sometime, I'll start the talk, and I'll say, okay, everybody, how's that seat feeling? Y'all comfortable? Everybody comfortable out there? Now just imagine that you sit here all day in that seat, and then you sit there all night in that same seat. How do you think you're going to feel tomorrow morning? How's that comfy seat going to feel? Anyway, and then we had another day and another night, and they get an idea. I mean, you can kind of, just sitting for 40 hours is painful, No matter how nice that seat feels now,
Yeah.
Anyway.
But always what we had on the multi-man boats was, hey guys, we're leaning right, okay? We're leaning right. You go, not up here. I'm leaning left. I wish y'all would straighten. I mean, that goes on the whole.
Yeah, half the people are purposefully leaning right, and half the people are
to
trying to
offset
lean
those
left.
other guys, and you're working against each other all down there. Now that was a common dynamic that I was, just a deterrent for me really getting behind the longboats. But we never had those conversations. I don't think we ever. If we did, we fixed it in the next 2 strokes, and we were back. Maybe one of us was leaning or something. But I don't even remember those. I remember that boat being so comfortable. All I got to do is walk. We called it walk in the boat, and you just take over and take a look over at the bank. And if the bank is moving by you, like you're at a really brisk walk, well, then that's what you need to do. And we felt like we were burning no calories whatsoever when we were just walking the boat.
Well, since we did have a self-bailer that didn't leak,
yeah,
I can always just tell. I'd put that bailer down, and it would be a whirling pool. If I heard that at night, you'd hear that suction noise, you'd think, doing okay,
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're
no
moving fast enough to pull water out of the boat anyway. We're not sitting here sinking.
The boat was dry. It was good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anything else about 1980? What year was that?
1983.
3?
Yeah.
83. Yeah.
83. Yeah.
hard to add to that year.
Yeah. I think we should just pause and do 85 on another day. That works.
That saves even something else, because the 85 was another year and it had a whole other race dynamic. So we'll save that for that episode.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Good. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Like the sea drift on the left.
This would have definitely helped.
We're going right. We're going right.
Yeah,
Keep going right. All the way right.
We could have used these below Swinging Bridge in both years, that's for sure.
It'd be like, what's that sound? Is that women saying, y'all better hurry up? I think so. I remember that in the dark. Y'all better hurry up.
What do they think we're doing?
We were
already on.
No, we were still lollygagging because you assured me, oh no, they're dead meat. And then later you said, they're coming. And I said, no, Red, they're dead meat, man. They've given up.
No, they're coming.
And they weren't coming. Yeah, because they saw us falling, and the whole crew, they were there in Tyvola. And got a time, 15 minutes is all. And we thought we had 30 or an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah, we thought we had 30 plus, because we already had 30. So.
We didn't get that word until we got to the Wind Bridge, and they were on the Wind Bridge hollering, y'all better hurry up, in sync, Yeah. And I heard that, and I said, you hear that? No, I don't hear nothing.
That's the whole thing about racing back then. And I was thinking about that last night, and the difference between 83 and 85, we were out in front. So we didn't get any news about them until the next bridge.
Right.
It'd
be 2 hours. Now they've got the spot tracker, and they'll say they are 5 minutes back and gaining. And it's like, that would have killed us.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was so nice.
That's too much information for us.
It was so nice to think, oh no, they're dead, man. They have given it up. They're gone.
I like our version over reality so much better.